And so republicanism is a system of politics that believes that all legislation, so rules, new laws being passed, new acts being passed, and all matters of government, whether economy or society or religion, are passed by a republic, an assembly, a parliament, a gathering of individuals. The image you see in front of you is the Frankfurt Parliament. This was one of the assemblies introduced in 1848 that unfortunately didn't survive very long. It was meant to be the assembly for all of the German states. There were representatives from all of the German states. We'll get to an image of a map later on to demonstrate which states were involved. But republicanism, therefore, was a kind of movement associated with contrasting itself from despotism. Now, we've been over despotism in the previous session. It's similar to absolutism. It's a system of governance with a single undivided ruler, whether a dictator or a monarch. It's often interchanged with autocracy or autocratic government. So as I mentioned, there were a lot of experiments in these types of ideology, all these big different ideologies, and there were lots of different ideologies all kind of flowing out of one another. It was an explosion of ideas as all these countries took to revolution at the same time, inspired by one another, built on excitement, built on spontaneity, so all arising kind of without much planning. And a key component of these revolutions was constitutions. I mentioned constitutionalism as well. Now, constitutions in this period were extremely important. Now, they constituted documents that outlined the rights of individuals in a state, the rights of the governors, the form that the government should take, so the division of powers, the judicial system, so the courts and the judges, the legislative system, so who is passing laws and governments, and the executive, so who is taking power and who is making the decisions in matters like foreign policy. So that's what a constitution is doing, and they are extremely important in the early half of the 19th century, coming out of the second half of the 18th century. There's constitutions being written everywhere. They become the driving force for revolutions. They're spawning in cities all across Europe as the kind of medium through which a country would, or a political party or a group would declare what they believe to be the best form of a new government. We've been over written constitutions in the past. America is a good example today of a solid written constitution which still outlines the parameters of government. And in the past, in this first half of the 19th century, leading up into 1848, constitutions are extremely important in the same vein, the same justification as the American one today. And therefore, constitutionalism is a belief that the government, whoever it is in government, should be constrained by this written constitution that outlines the limits of their power. So it is a sort of limiting force on absolutism, despotism,